No mask here for this review because I didn't really have a mask for the Hulk. The Incredible Hulk, not the Hulk from like Eric Banner Hulk, no, the Incredible Hulk. Now this is the second film in the line of that builds up to the Avengers, or even when it sort of was coming up to it, but this is still considered a standalone film. Although to that, it makes a lot of references to Captain America, like the first Avenger. And Captain America didn't come out until 3 years after this one came out. So, in a way, it was kind of like ahead of the curve. But is this film any good? Well, I'll say this, it's better than the Hulk film that came out before it. But is it any good as a standalone film? Let's find out. Now, the story of this film is kind of staying true to the Hulk lore. Bruce Banner he's on a run. He's a fugitive of the United States, or probably the military, because an experiment that he did went wrong and he kind of hulked out and turned into this big Hulk. So he's been on the run for like years, as we can probably tell, and he's out there trying to find a cure. So he's in like somewhere like in Rio, but they find out where he is. They kind of say, and now he's trying to go. He goes back, trying to get rid of this Hulk, 'cause he wants completely rid of it. But General Ross wants to make it a weapon because he is kind of like a living weapon. So it kind of goes like back and forth, but it's really good in how they actually do this whole story. Now, what's good about this film? Edward Norton is really good as Bruce Banner. I mean, he looks exactly the way that kind of Bruce Banner should do, right? Kind of like skinny, looks kind of smart, and it's kind of interesting he's not going to be in the Avengers because I heard he's quite difficult to work with. But if he was, it would have been like it would be really good to see it. And also the guy that plays General Ross, he is really good, and he's kind of good in the film because you gotta tell, like, he doesn't really give a damn what people think. He wants Bruce Banner because he wants that weapon. He doesn't care about anyone beside himself, and in fact, it'd be a big weapon. But the guy that plays Blowski, he is really kind of like sick. I mean, when you first see him, right, he's this soldier, like, he's a veteran soldier, and he loves the good fight. But he gets sort of more power, and then he just becomes so addicted to this power that he wants more, and then sort of the last act of the film, he gets more power and he becomes the Abomination. And it's real. And here's the thing: the CGI of the film is really it's good for that sort of time. I think now if they released it, it'd be like a bit iffy, but back then it was really good, and they two fight. It's like really good. I mean, there's a lot of destruction happening. That's the way like these Hulk films should be. Like, destruction happens like within the city. But the other thing I like, as I was saying, how it makes a lot of reference to like Captain America, and I think that's actually really good that they were good at ahead of the curve, and it doesn't really sort of ruin the whole film. So again, it still acts like a standalone film. What's bad about this film? Well, I'll put it this way, right? The actress that plays Betty Ross, she's great in the film, but she's not really desirable. Like, she doesn't really sort of come in until about 30 minutes or so after, when the film started. So it kind of just it just doesn't really sort of build up for her, and she just kind of just gets brushed away most of the time. And I wish they did a bit more with her in this film, and it could have really helped it as well. There are like a couple of side characters in it that aren't really as good, but that's kind of the one thing. But that's kind of like, and the one thing is shorter than Iron Man when it came out, but I feel they could have added a couple, or like 10, 20 minutes more, probably just to give a bit more detail into this whole film, because I think it really needed it in some areas. But here's the thing, here's what's ugly, and it kind of continues on with what was wrong with the Hulk film. We don't see much of the Hulk. I mean, when we see the Hulk, yes, he's badass, he's tearing shit up, and it's awesome. But again, we just never see much of him. And I think this is the problem with like feature films, is like you really need. The point is, it isn't a Hulk movie, so you really need to see more of him. I wish they kind of made it like, if they did like sort of half an like 40 or 50 minutes of Hulk time, it would have really helped this film, because it does. Because sometimes you're just waiting for the Hulk to Hulk out and see him, just see what he kind of destroys and how he gets out of a situation. But I just wish though that they kind of had added a bit more time so they can have more Hulk time, if you get what I mean. So with the score, I'm actually going to give this film, I'm going to give this film a good rating. It's not great like Iron Man, but it's kind of near that sort of spectrum. For the numbers, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10, because again, it's really good, but it just has its flaws, and you know, it's considered nearly maybe one of the weakest of the sort of Avengers preload films, but not as weak as what I'm going to review tomorrow. So until then, stay tuned and see you guys next time.